I'm keeping an eye on what's going on with the Jarawa, because they were like one of the first tribes out of the few that was over there, that has come into contact with invaders. The Sentinelese still remain uncontacted, but the Jawa, they still face issues, as far as like protecting their aborigine. Um, you can kind of see like they're an extension of the people over here, as far as the people who look like them. I happen to be one of them. So like we're the extension of these people, and like we have to speak out about what's going on. Because like these people, basically, if they were in Kenya, they would be considered Luya. You know what I mean? They would be considered Luya or some other tribe. Um, it just happened that they left and they did a lot of endogamy things as far as like procreation. Um, but like this is, I'm seeing like right now though, like, you know, because my psychiatrist, he happens to be Indian, East Indian, and I know how these people are. They're very standoffish. They're very inconsiderate. Um, you know what I mean? Like, I know how these people are, right? Um, and like the weird part about this, right, is that you know we're in a situation where like we're having to deal with BRICS. BRICS is like an alliance between many different countries where they're trying to control certain trade routes and stuff like that. And in doing so, they're going to uh, create problems for the people who are trying to get into the trades. Um, you have I think who you have Brazil. Okay, it's cool. We can deal with Brazilians because that's a black country. Um, you have Russia. We really don't have to deal with Russians because Russians, they have their own land and they are having to uh, sort of protect what they have from Ukraine. So like we won't be dealing with Russians anytime soon. Then you got India, you got China. We're gonna have to deal with India and China. South Africa, they're cool. They're cool, even though they got their own problems as far as like racism. But we're gonna have to deal with India and China, because they're like the main two partners in the BRICS, and China is like one of those countries where like they do everything on the low. They do everything on the low. Um, so like we're gonna have to deal with them, and like you see they're giving problems to the people over there in India, the Jarawa, um, where they're forcing the women to do things where like they shouldn't be doing in the first place, um, and also they're trying to subject the men. So like they're gonna do it to the Sentinelese once they get a foothold in their country. Because like those little islands, they're countries. Like you have to respect, the tribal governments, the structure. But that again, that's how you also know like tribal governments. While they exist, they only hold so much power. Because like if a empire comes in, right, and they're telling the tribal chief, you know, in their language, we want to use this route, we want to use that route for tourism. What can you do? It's like, what can you do at that point? Um, So it says like right here, it becomes a potential threat to life and limb within the community that the law professes to protect. The obsession with vigilance. The dangers extend far beyond the immediate hazard of traffic. Anthropologists have long warned that the Jarawa possesses limited immunity to diseases common among mainland populations. You know what I mean? So, like, if you know you're not supposed to be near them because they can pick up on your disease patterns and stuff like that and it can kill them off, like, why would you even be around them? And again, that's inconsideration. You know what I mean? That's very high inconsideration. Because I can tell you, like, right now, the psychiatrist I have, right? Every time I come into his office, right, he doesn't say anything to me. He just says you can leave, right? And I can't do anything because it's like, the courts are against me so far as to like what he says. So it's like you walk into the office, you don't, you know, he doesn't say anything, but like when I get ready to leave, he want to offer me food and stuff like that, and I'll be like, bro, quit offering me food. I don't want your food. He does that every time, and he acts like he doesn't remember me. You know what I mean? Like it's crazy. But that's the thing. That's what I'm saying. Like, you know, it's a respect factor. In a lot of these nations, right, that people don't have respect factor. Like if you can just roll into somebody's country unannounced and like just stay there, that's a problem. It says right here, human rights groups have over the years reported disturbing allegations of sexual exploitation involving Jarawa women, poachers, illegal settlers, and unscrupulous drivers who gain access to the reserve through the road network have occasionally been accused of abusing the profound power imbalance that exists between the technologically advanced outside society and a small indigenous community with limited avenues for legal recourse. And these people don't want anything to do with this world. Um, they just want to live their way of life and the life that they know. They don't want technology and computers and stuff like that, probably. You know what I mean? Like, I'm sure, like, if they had the choice to go back to how it used to be when those people weren't around, that they'll do that. You know, they'll do that. And this is also a thing, right? The game Donkey Kong and the game Diddy, what is it? Diddy Kong, Donkey Kong. Um, that game is based off these people right here. It's based off these people because these are people that's in Asia and they just happen to be a Negrito class. Like Diddy Kong, he's a Negrito. Donkey Kong, he will be a Congolese, an African. Then you got the other characters too, the woman, all those. Um, so like it's this obsession with like who we are. That just kind of carries it over the top. Like the man come in there in military uniforms, abusing the women, abusing the kids and stuff like that. That is a problem. That is a problem. That is a problem. You know, because we witness it every day in America. Like how they just come in and you know you can see it in the hip hop culture. They just invite themselves into the culture. You know, they take the person that's most compromised and they get them to accept gifts. It's like the whole thing with like Boosie and DJ Vlad. DJ Vlad sees a man that's sort of compromised by the community in a sense because he's been accused of doing things as far as like um you know murder and all of that. So and it's in his lyrics. You know what I'm saying? So that's what I'm saying. Like they do these type of things. And DJ Vlad, he's Russian. You know what I mean? So that's the type of relationship you want with, an alliance called BRICS, where they just, this is why I'm like so bent up on like Americans becoming very cordial with Africans. But I know it'll never happen because they caught up on his skin color. I know it'll never happen because the people are caught up on the skin color. And that's the problem. It's like once you get people that come here so many times and they start mixing in with the population, the people change over time. So the people who never mixed in with the other people, what happens? They're sort of like left to fend for themselves, which is the position I am in. It's kind of like, having three biracial siblings and you're the only one who's not biracial. It's like, of course they're gonna go against you. At some point they're gonna go against you. So it's like it's only human nature. Um, they're gonna side with the conqueror. You know what I mean? Like, and that's the thing. So Africa, America, like we have to become one. We have to become one, and um, we have to. See, it says right here. Seatbelts were frequently ignored. Music systems blared loudly enough to disrupt the forest's natural quiet. Several drivers spoke animately on mobile phones while steering their vehicles along the winding stretch that passes directly through Jarawa territory. You know what I mean? So these are Indians. These are East Indians, right? This is an issue, man. This is like a big issue. I'm gonna share this post. I'm gonna share this post because this article is new. Um, this article is new. I really don't. I need to find out how I can get money to these people. I need to find that out, man, because this is another place human rights group, because like human rights group, what they do is they come in and they see what the people need and they get them these things. You know what I mean? So even though like we know the human rights groups, they're kind of just put there as an instance of a coincidence, of a non coincidence in a sense. Um, where like disruptors come in, then all of a sudden, oh, who is these other people? They're coming in to save the day. Like, nah, they did that in tandem. They did that in tandem. So that's something else we got to figure out. Like. So yeah, I'm going to share this. You know, it makes me mad, man, because it's like this article was posted 28 days ago. It makes me mad, man, because it's like it's like how in the world, that's how in the world does the government have all these needs to fight these wars, but they can't protect people who make the world what it is. And a lot of these things is just like just moving along, just like being out the way, like not bothering other groups of people. That's mainly what this be about. But like if you see a people that's constantly getting harmed and stuff like that, it's over the women. It's like these other men, they don't want their women, so they want to go bother other people women. That's what a lot of these wars be about, though. Like the main war that's been going on in the world is in America, and you notice like all the American women, right? They don't look like women how women looked in the 1920s, the 1910s in the South. Like a lot of these people just look very they look very Nordic now. A lot of the American women look very Nordic. Like you come to a place like Detroit, the women look Nordic. A lot of the women look Nordic, you know. Um, you don't really see that South flavor in the North like anymore. You don't see it. It's like all the women, like when you see them, like they look very biracial. They got the weave in the hair, you know, they got the light foundation on the face. They look very Nordic. Then you find out like, oh, my father is white. You know what I mean? So it's like what happened, you know? Because we know the history. We know what happened in America during the '90s. You know what I mean? Like these white men was coming into the community in the cars and stuff like that. You know, buying narcotics and stuff like that. Um, then also doing the prostitution and stuff like that. Because the man let them in if they're buying drugs, the man let them in, and you know one thing lead to another. Now they're talking about prostitution. So you know, because you wonder like why all these, like right now there was a fight downtown Detroit. I think yesterday or something like that involving 20 people. I think it was like at a concert or something. I don't know if it was the Rick Ross concert or something like that, but it was some concert. Like it was downtown on Woodward and Grand River. 20 people got in a fight. And I'm just like, that's not Southern culture. That's not Southern hospitality. And the people in the North, right? They're essentially people from the South. You know? So it's like what happened to this culture where like everybody loved each other. And again, that goes like a lot these are the kids raised from that generation where like their parents was prostitutes and like drug users. You know what I mean? So like when you see like once you see like the Jarawa start fighting each other and arguing over territory, then you'll know that that's they learned that from the East Indian man who was coming into their communities, who came into their island doing what you reading in this article, playing loud music, being vulgar. They learned that from you gonna be like, Dad, why are they doing that to each other now? Because they learned it from these people, you know. Then the article so wild, right? You know, they advertise the Eurocentric woman. Like this is in India. So they got the actress underneath a article that's talking about maritime and war. So they're doing the same thing that Britain do. Britain is like a leg of America, and all these three places do the same thing. You know, they do the same thing. You know what I mean? So I'm going to share this article. I'm going to close out. Um, yeah, this is a concern for the world because, like, if they destroy their culture, you can pretty much say like we're going to be set behind. We're going to be set behind years because it doesn't work just like there's not any time soon where like Americans are going to get their land back. You know what I mean? Like we're at the stage right now where we're fighting each other. Um, as I just gave a site that 20 people were downtown fighting. So we're at that point. We're at that stage right now where people are fighting each other. So if you see these people are in the midst of that, freedom is not coming anytime soon to America. So I would say Protect what we have in Africa at every cost. Protect what we have in Africa. You have to protect what we have in Africa at all costs right now, because that's the last of the civilized. That's the last of the civilized. It's Africa. Great peace, Yakoki.